I'm going to call this meeting to order. If we could, I want to do the roll call.
Oh, you want me to do it? I'll do it myself.
Yeah. That was good.
Mike Brown,
Here.
Michael London,
Here.
Sherry Simons.
Here.
David Steck
Here.
and Brad Warble.
Here. All right. Let's go with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm gonna start by just begging everybody's indulgence. As I said earlier before the meeting, I've got a cough, so I'm going to try and speak to what we have as little as possible. Thank you for the cough drops. That's helpful. So we have one case. And this is, excuse me, case number BZA 2021-006. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in favor of this appeal? Okay,
Katie and Chris.
we have two online.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
okay, great. So if you would, I'm going to ask each of you, just if you would, Katie, Chris, if you would listen up. I'm going to swear both of you in. So I will ask you now, do you sincerely declare and affirm that the testimony you are about to give before the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under penalty of perjury? And if so, Chris, if you would answer, I do.
I do.
And Katie?
Actually, this is her husband, Jason Bain.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading the script, Jason.
It's okay. She's here as well. So I do, and
Okay.
she said I do as well.
And she says the same. All right, well, get it on the record. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and ask, is there anyone here that is intending to speak against this at this time? If so, please let it be known. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move forward.
No, he stood up.
Stood
I
up.
think that's a yes.
Oh,
So just state your
I'm
name.
sorry, I thought you were just taking pictures. I apologize. Do you sincerely declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give before the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under penalty of perjury? State your name and state. I do.
Robin Lewis, I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else that I'm missing? No, all right. So I'd like to, this appeal is an appeal to place for parcel, let me back up, is for parcel number L550270500049. It's a property that is currently zoned RA. The nature of this appeal, the owners are Jason and Katie Bulletin. Am I saying the name right?
Fallon?
Fallon? Okay.
Yeah, it's pronounced Bain. It's that's the proper pronunciation.
We'll
No
go
big deal. No big deal.
We'll go with Bain.
Okay.
And this is to place a new open-sided structure for an in-ground pool, 17.2 feet in front of the existing house. Use the automatic safety cover as a pool barrier. So if I could have anybody that wants to speak in favor of this, just please speak in favor now. Who would like, let's see here. Jason, would you like to go first?
Katie, we can speak together. So of course, I'm a novice at the appeal process. So I mean, I am, we're putting a structure. We're pretty far back from the road. I'd have to have the exact measurements. Chris might have those, but the front of our house is visible only, beyond our meadow. So this structure would be from where the street sits, it would just appear totally parallel, actually. There's no way you would be able to see that it's actually in front. But the location we picked out is because it's a open area that doesn't have many trees. We have a bunch of at least 200-year-old oaks that we don't want to mess with or have to remove. We're also locating it next to our house, close to our basement, because it's a two-phase build that we're anticipating. We have a basement. We're eventually going to have a walkout that's going to be right next to the structure. So that's one of a couple of reasons. And also it's a structure for the pool because I'm a dermatologist and I see skin cancer every day. So I am putting a structure over my pool for the safety of my family. We also want to be able to utilize the pool year round. So I know a lot of people probably don't understand it, but I live skin cancer every day. So I'm just gonna, that's why we're one of the big reasons we're doing it.
Okay, thank you. I'm calling on people independently so that we're not ending up speaking over each other for the recording.
Sure.
So Jason, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I guess I'd have to hear the objection in order to have a rebuttal to that. So I think I've said enough for right now.
All right, Katie?
Yeah, same thing that Jason said. The structure would be to the south side of our property. And, from the view of the road, it would just look like it was beside the house, not. We bought this property because it's wooded in the back. So eventually we would like to enclose this structure so that we can use the pool year round. We have a son that has special needs. So, our intention is that he would be able to use it, during the winter time when he's not very active, because he has physical special needs. So that's the other reason.
Okay. Anything else, Katie?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you. Is it Chris?
Yes.
Yes, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Chris. I'm with Watermark Pools. We are building the pool in conjunction with the structure going in. Just to kind of reiterate the point that's already been made, the location of the pool is because of existing trees on the property, and it does make sense when you walk the property on where they've chosen to locate the pool. The structure itself will end up approximately 280 feet from the road and very close to the house. And then the other thing that we're looking at here is also using the automatic safety cover as the barrier in lieu of a fence around the pool or the property. This is something that is done on a fairly regular basis. Some zoning codes allow this without getting a variance. And I included in the submittal with this an example of a zoning code that does allow it. So anybody, if you guys wanted to see that, just to see how the wording is with other zoning boards. And then I also included the safety standards that the cover meets as well, and that the scope of the ASTM rating that it has in terms of safety and keeping people out of the pool. When that cover is closed, the only way to open it is either with a code or a key. And when that cover is closed, nobody is able to access the pool. The cover is strong enough to support the weight of multiple people walking across it, and there's no way to gain entry without that code or that key.
Okay.
And that pretty much sums up everything that I have to say at this point.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Mhm.
Just for everyone's information and for the record, the process is that in our meetings, we will go through and give opportunities for anyone who wants to speak in favor of the appeal that is being requested. We will then give an opportunity for those who will speak against the granting the appeal. And then we will close the open portion of the meeting so that only the board will be discussing the materials after that, just so that everyone's aware of the way we work this. Okay. Is there anyone else who has comments they'd like to make in favor of this appeal? If not, then I'd like to ask if there's anybody else who would like to speak against this appeal.
Name's Rob Bush, Crawford Road. One thing, if you guys do approve this, you're going against what you're already done. Because you had other people come in here wanting to build buildings in front of their house and you made them move it to the back. Okay, that's one. And if my recollection is right, one of the board members is a relative to the people that want to do it. So he should be step up and not vote on it no matter what, because that's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
All right. Is there anybody else who has any comments? I'm looking at the screen here too, that wants to speak against this appeal. If not, then I would simply ask, are there board members who have any questions for anyone before I close this?
I don't.
No, I do not.
No. All right, if there being no questions, then I'll entertain a motion to close the open portion of the meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second.
Mr. Steck moved and it's been seconded. Excuse me.
Okay.
By Sherry. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
David Stack,
Those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries.
okay, cool. All right, good.
Yeah, we can keep that part simple.
Okay.
All right, so this is ours. So let me ask first of all, because the question's been raised, are there any members of this board who would like to abstain themselves from the voting process?
I'll abstain.
All right, so you'll be abstaining from the voting and the discussion,
I'll also be abstaining.
and you'll also be abstaining from, all right, Mr. Steck, Ms. Simon, that leaves it pretty simple here. Before we go any further, as a part of this process for our discussions, and I've asked about this in previous meetings, that I'd like to have before we go any further to see if our zoning administrator has a statement, because one of the things we've asked for in the past is to begin to get a regular statement on appeals from the zoning administrator. So do you have anything for us?
I do. Jason and Katie has requested a BZA hearing for a variance to put up an open-sided structure for an in-ground pool 17.2 feet in front of the existing house and use automatic safety cover as a pool barrier. Our zoning text says in Article 38, Section 38(1), number 2, the pool shall only be located in the rear yard and shall be no closer to the side lot line than the side yard requirements for the district in which it's located. The property is zoned RA. In Section 7, Article 7, Section 704, 704.2, the yard requirements, the minimums are: the front yard is 50 feet, the side yard is 30 feet each side, and the rear yard is 50 feet. Article 38, Section 3801D, number 3, the swimming pool or the entire property on which it is located shall be walled or fenced to prevent uncontrolled access by children from the street and from adjacent properties. Said fence or wall shall not be less than 42 inches in height to be maintained in good condition with a locked entrance. So basically, the issues are the location of the pool in front of the house, the pool being in an open-sided structure, and the use of the automatic safety cover as a pool barrier. That's all.
State the last one. This,
To use the automatic safety cover as the pool barrier.
that's what I thought you said. Okay.
We like to comment even though we're not allowed to vote.
I'd like to hold on that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick?
I'm sorry,
Can I ask a question real quick?
We'd have to open.
we'd have to reopen the meeting to the public.
We can. I mean, that's not a problem.
Sure.
We can make a motion to reopen. I'll make a motion to reopen.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Without objection, so ordered. Your question?
I guess my question is, the fence is for safety, correct?
Correct.
People, okay, so at the time that that was created,
You mean the zoning
the
regulation?
regulation was
Okay.
created, was this product even available or thought of? So if it's progressed, I mean, that's my question, is I understand what you're saying, because that's all there was, but now that there are new things.
Right. How the process is going to work is any new items such as this has to go before the Board of Commissions, who writes these
Gotcha.
texts for us. And that is quite an ordeal. There's several processes and all that. So that is something I'm going to be looking at after the first of the year to get the Board of Commission together so that we can start implementing some of these things that have come across. And that is definitely one of them.
So that's new. Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the open portion.
I'll do that.
Is there a second? And without objection, so ordered. So let me ask, let me start, thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Thank you. Sherry, I'm going to start with you as because we're recording, I'm going to continue to maintain the same pattern. And that is so that we don't talk over each other one at a time. So I'm going to start with you, Sherry, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Your thoughts or questions?
Okay. I did go out today and went back and Katie was home and I went and she and I walked the property and they actually have the pool very nicely, or the location very nicely laid out as to where it goes, the dimensions of the open shelter plus the pool itself. They have that very nicely drawn out there at the side of the house. And I will say, this is not in, I know we've made reference to it being in front of the house. And this is to the side of the house. It's just that the pool comes in front of the front line of the house. So
It extends.
yes, it's not to be confused with, they're not walking out their front door to be able to jump in the.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to make that clarification, looking at the drawing here and being out there today. One of the things I said to Katie today is it's important that you go out and look at every case that comes before the BZA, because every case has its own merit, its own reasons for the decisions that we make. So in no way, shape, or form is every case that comes before us with a request for whether it's a lot variance or conditional use or whatever, there's no cookie cutter. There's always things with those particular properties that cause you to make a decision. And I think sometimes if you look at just a drawing, and I was explaining that to Katie today, when you look at this drawing, you think, well, there's all kinds of places they could put this pool. Well, when you go out there and walk it, they're right. I mean, the one comment that Jason made was that they have several very, very old, mature oak trees and other trees. And if they were to move this, it would interfere, not so, like with some of them, even if they were to adjust it on the side yard, it would get into the root systems of those old trees and other one, if to put it to the back, then like you say, 200-year-old oak trees are going to have to come down. I personally see the value in maintaining any and all trees that we have left more. So again, going out, walking this, understanding, one of the first questions I had was, because I also have access to a pool, and I'm like, why are you building a shelter over your swimming pool? Well, all she had to do was say, my husband's a dermatologist. And I was like, well, you know, you don't have to explain anymore. But so that I understand that. The other thing is that Katie did explain that their thoughts is to build the structure, and then the next phase is to enclose it to where, like they said, it can be an all-season pool. So there will be sides on that structure, and you know, that will come into play later on in the budget. But so I have a good feeling as far as the placement of the pool and seeing where it is in relation to the house, and the fact that no, it's not in the front yard. It comes off of that requirement to stay behind the back line of the house. But it actually being placed in the front yard is not really what we're looking at here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did you get a sense that the placement, I understand that the part of the reason for the placement was to avoid disturbing existing tree growth.
Mm-hmm.
But a concern that I had when I read it was, is it clear that this current placement also avoids the damage that may potentially happen, because I don't know what trees are where, to the root system back in and of itself?
Yes.
Kill the trees.
Yes, because it seemed, and I think that's a point as to why they brought it even a little more forward, a little more to the west,
Okay.
you know, the front of the pool.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a little apple orchard that Katie had indicated a couple of those are going to come out, some old apple trees. But as far as the more valuable old growth, that sort of thing, that's again, I think why they shifted it a little bit even.
So it's far enough away that even placing it where it is being proposed will not do that damage.
Right. And the other thing I looked at was, like, if you walked straight back behind where the placement is, there is a little opening back in there. But it still would not be accommodating to this, you know, this placement. And then all of this is wooded. All of this back in here is completely wooded. So, and when you look at that and walk it, it makes a difference on that. So that's the comment that's the comments that I have on the placement. So I don't really have an issue with that, the way that it's laid out and in correlation to their whole plot layout. I am a little bit concerned about because we do have the requirement for the fencing. But I also can understand just with our last comments here, our zoning text needs to be updated. I think everybody sitting on this panel realizes that we have a laundry list of things that have come up new that need to be addressed, and things are going to be, you know, coming at us like this because there are new innovations. And I've contemplated the fence part of this a little bit more than the placement of the pool, because obviously I have a pool. And, you know, and I have a fence around it, but I also see that, you know, again, with some of the design that you have today, new innovation, that this is the kind of wave of the future. And the thing I think about is typically your fence is up there to provide safety. You know, we don't want a child or someone, you know, getting into the pool and drowning, obviously. And I think, you know, so that was kind of foremost in my mind that, okay, we've got to have some kind of safety, you know, this being open. And it's like, but, you know, gates get left open. Technically, you can have a pool in your backyard if it's clear, and just have your backyard fence, which complies with our zoning. But that doesn't mean if that open pool, you know what I mean? There's always all of those ways that things can go awry. The one thing I would say on this, I guess I could also go along with the pool cover aspect of that. However, the one thing I would want to see is, and I think in our zoning text, it does indicate, or one of them, that there needs to be, while this is in construction, there needs to be that barrier put up, that, so you have a, you know, before everything is installed and before the cover, the safety cover is in place, that there is a temporary type of fencing.
Construction barrier.
Yeah, that would prevent any kinds of accidents that way. And like I say, there's no fence out there that's going to be completely fail-safe. We all know of incidents where people have drowned in fenced pools. So I think it's just a matter of the product that you have and you know, how you manage your pool. But so I guess my bottom line of this is I really don't have a problem with the placement after being out there today and walking the ground. And I could also go along with the cover safety feature, especially the fact they're going to enclose this pool. And then if there is a temporary barrier up, that while that's all being.
Until it's fully completed.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that there would need.
So what we've got here, and I just want to make sure I'm clear, is that we're talking about a couple different things. We're talking about a variance in terms of the placement, and then, if you will, the conditional use that would affect the other
Right.
factor. Okay.
Right.
Mr. Stack, how are you, David?
Well, first of all, the distance from the road, I visually don't think anybody can really tell much difference whether that thing at 17 feet is in front or in back. And visually too, they have that, I don't know, that natural area out front, which that's what you see.
Prairie-like.
Yeah, that's what
Concept.
you see when you look back.
All right.
So the distance doesn't bother me. One thing though, looking at a shed, if you will, an open-sided shed, that's a whole different look than what they were talking about later, adding walls to it. That changes it to more of a barn or garage, and that changes the looks. And that's not what they're asking to do right now. They're asking for a shelter. So that's an issue I have later if they do want to put sides on it. I think this cover would be really good. I think it would work, but due to the fact that our requirements are a fence, I think it should have a fence around it. And that cover's probably safe, but me personally, if I had a pool, I would want a fence around it, just for my own safety, for people that are there. So that's something that I
I hear you.
problem with.
Can I ask you a question then? With an understanding, at least that I've heard, that there is an intention at some point in the future to put sides on this structure so that that became the barrier. How would you feel? It's just a question. How would you feel about a fence of some type being around it until such time as that structure had its sides?
I wouldn't have a problem with that. And if they do put sides on it, that's the same as a fence in terms of keeping people out. It's a fancy fence, if you will, because it's going on a building, but same thing.
All right. Anything else, David?
No, that's my two biggies.
Okay. All right, so before I move us any further down the line, did you have a question that you wanted to raise?
I just wanted to say that I wanted to raise the point that I actually sit on ASTM. It's my other board that I sit on. And
Could you, for the record, could you say what that stands for?
so it's the American Standards for Testing of Materials. And a lot of, it's like the UL. I actually sit on committee F18 for protect electrical workers protection from fall and electrical shock through via liquids. So I've sat on that board for 15 years, and I know what due diligence we do when we go through a project such as this pool cover. And I just want to inject from an ASTM point of view that if it's rated for what it's going to do, and it's been told to us that it will do so, that I have all the confidence in the world that it would do anything that a fence would do in lieu of. So that's my comment.
Okay. I appreciate that. All right, excuse me, my coughing here. All right. Does that give you any additional thoughts, David?
Yeah, and the expense of adding a fence, you know, they're saying later when they can afford it better, they would, you know, put a wall on the structure. Well, if it's a temporary fence, that's an expense. You know, I'd hate to see them go through that just to put it up for a year or whatever, and then take it down again if that's what they wanted. That seems, I just wonder how soon they would put sides on that building.
Okay. Well, it appears we don't know the answer to that, and because I don't know that they do. However, Mike's comments about the standards, I'm wondering if that gives either of you any other sensibilities and that additional information.
Well, yeah, because like I said, I had kind of already worked through that thought process because of, you know, sometimes I think we get set in the fact that, you know, a fence around something makes it, you know, ironclad, and it's not. I mean, like I said, we know many, many people who have drowned in pools that have fences around them. So that's not to say that the safety cover couldn't get left open.
Sure.
You know, and then, you know, there's alarms and there's this and there's that. So I do think that once again, it's a product that it's been, you know, it's new. And unfortunately, our zoning text is not.
Right.
So, you know, I think I've worked through that.
Okay.
If initially I thought, oh, it needs to have a fence around it because that's what the deal is. But once again, to kind of circle back around to why we're here as an appeals board is because of, you know, making those decisions based on the information that we have. And I think we've been given an adequate amount of information on that cover and why it could work in lieu of a 42-inch fence.
For him. David, anything else? So if you'll just give me a moment. And the only thing that I want to mention is that to follow up on your comment is that the question that was raised earlier about the fact that our zoning text, what may be proposed here doesn't meet our zoning text because our zoning text is old and is dated and is not up to date. This is all the more reason. This is another example of why, and we can't do anything about it in terms of changing the text. What we can do, though, is make note and make reference and refer back to the commission, which we've done before, that this is something that needs addressed. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that I'm giving information officially to our zoning administrator to take this issue to the commission, that this needs to be addressed and that we have a specific situation, an example that they can look at with it.
Right.
All right. Based upon what I've heard. Thank you. So that I don't mess up. It's done marvels for us. You know that, don't you?
Put it in your pocket.
Y'all can thank Kay, okay? She put me in the corner and she kept me from coughing all over you, okay? Karen did it again. Miss Kay, Kaler. Okay, so I'm going to entertain a motion that this appeal be granted with the following condition. That during the, and I'm going to leave it to you to make notes. That this appeal be granted with the following condition. One, that during the time that this entire operation is under construction, that there is in fact some temporary protection, fencing from, for all that is, that would meet the standards, if you will, of appropriate protection. Until, and that remain in place until such time as the entire project that is proposed is in fact completed.
It's being recorded, so I'll be able to get it that way too.
Yes. Okay. So that is the sum total of the motion that I have, that I'm entertaining. Is there somebody who would like to actually make that motion?
Also move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the question on this. Ms. Simon,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Abstain.
Mr. Stack,
Yes.
Mr. Warble,
Abstain.
and the chair votes yes. So this motion where the quorum is, in fact, this appeal is passed with those conditions, and it will be the responsibility of the zoning administrator to follow through with the letter and all of the other stuff that she does so well. Oh, yeah, before we go any further, Sherry, keep on top of me, will you?
I am.
She gotta keep me in track. Okay. As we move on this, so these are the questions on the variance that we want to be able to be clear on. The board shall not, in this case, in all cases, the board should not grant a variance in each specific case until it has made a finding of fact directly based upon the evidence presented in each of the following questions. All questions must be answered true by a majority of the board members present for the variance to be approved. I do understand that we have board members who have stated they're abstaining. So that's entirely possible. I'll look at least for a majority of the rest. The questions for the variance are A. The variance requested arises from special conditions of or involving the property which are unique and not ordinarily found in this zoning district.
That's true.
True. True. Mr. Steck? True. Majority.
It didn't come out.
The situation is a result of the enforcement of the zoning resolution and not by any action of the property owner or applicant.
True.
True.
True. It will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and morals.
True.
True.
True. It will not compromise the general spirit and intent of this zoning resolution.
True.
True.
True. It will not compromise the use or enjoyment of adjacent properties.
True.
True.
True. It will not affect adjoining agricultural land or farmland drainage systems.
True. True.
True.
True. Evidence has been shown that this zoning resolution is not practical in this case.
True.
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 And I'm going to do the last one. And strict application of this zoning resolution would constitute unnecessary hardship or restriction upon the property owner or applicant.
True.
True. And for the conditional use, the board shall not grant a conditional use in each of the specific case until it has made a finding of fact based upon the evidence presented in each of the following questions. All questions must be answered true by a majority of the board members present for the conditional use to be approved. A, conditional use requested will comply with all applicable regulations of the zoning resolution, including lot size, development standards, and use limitations.
True.
True.
True. Adequate access roads or entrance and exit drives will be provided and will be so designed as to prevent traffic hazards and to minimize congestion in public streets.
True.
True.
True. It will not adversely compromise the adjoining agricultural land and will not affect the farmland drainage systems.
True.
True.
True. It will be in harmony with the orderly development of the district in which it is located with respect to the nature and intensity of the operation.
True. Can I stop you there for a minute?
Yes.
I think you're wearing off on me here. We're going down the one for lot splits. We shouldn't be on this one.
Oh, we're on the one below.
We're on the one below. This is other than lot splits.
Headache when you walk in, okay? G, all necessary permits and license for use and operation have been obtained or evidence has been submitted that such permits are obtainable.
That's true.
It's true.
True.
All exterior lighting will be so shaded as to avoid casting direct light upon any property, residence, or street.
True.
True.
True. All structures, walls, fences, landscaping, and other screening on site is so designed as it will not hinder or discourage other development, use, and enjoyment of adjacent land or structures.
True.
True.
True. Good catch, Sherry. Thank you.
Sit there and went along with you on 4 of them. I was like, wait a minute.
Now you got to catch me early when I walk in with one of these headaches, coughing all over the place like a fool. Okay. I think that's it for this particular one. So for the plans, our zoning administrator, Karen, will get with you in the future on this. Are there any other matters that the board wants to bring up this evening? Did you have any other comments or any other announcements? Nope.
Nope.
No? Okay. Board members, anybody have any other announcements or comments?
The comment I would like to make, and of course Karen gave us this, but included in our packet this evening, and I believe Chris from the pool company provided this for you, or maybe you looked that up.
No, Krista.
Chris did.
The sample of zoning, I believe it's for Clear Creek Township, gives a really good explanation of the safety pool cover barrier that they've obviously adopted into their thing. I would just like to make sure that our commission gets a copy of that and
They will.
advised that, we've been approached with this and we'll handle them on a case-by-case basis, but it would be nice for them to
Be updated.
get updated with some of this.
Just for the record, I just sort of want to remind that as a general rule, when it has come before this board, at least in the time I've been here, and I've only been here maybe 20 years or more. It is actually very unusual for us and pretty rare for us to grant an appeal based upon this location of any structure or anything in front of or moving past the front of that line of a house. But it has happened in the past. We have done it. There have been special circumstances, but it is rare, and it will probably, I want to just sort of put it out there on the record. It probably will continue to be rare.
Sure.
And this is an example, I think, of one of those times when we might do that. If there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you all. Have a wonderful holiday.
Why, thanks for the Christmas.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.